Hey, Brassfax here, and actually, Hoplifile here. Wait, no, he wants to just be called Hop now, right? Okay. Anyway, good chance when this video drops, ammo prices have hit the ceiling, kept going, and look at that, we're back on another ammo run. Prices are high, depression is high, and availability is low. But don't despair, it does in fact get better, which no one wants to hear because we're in the here and now. So, Hop and I got together and we want to discuss how to handle these ammo runs from a training perspective. We've been through several of these, and how we continue to train when ammo prices double or triple what they were mere weeks ago. This is sort of in a podcast format. We were basically just talking for the Brock and Hop power half hour that we do for Subscribestar. So this is mostly freeform, but I think there's some value in seeing what our train of thoughts are when it comes to ammo usage in a limited ammo training environment. Once again, these are mostly just ideas, so take a lot of these with a grain of salt and understand that you need to modify what we're talking about here to your budget and your ability on how much you can spend every month.
Hop, we gotta go home.
I'm comfy. You know, what's that World War II memoir helmet for my pillow? Keltec for my pillow. That's how I sleep, because I have sleep apnea.
Oh my god. You go to a nice place to eat, and all she wants is a picture of the food.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Ah!
Yeah, this is a good reminder for people like us who've been doing this for a while and people who are new to the hobby that over time the price of ammo tends to just trend upwards. So a lot of, I think, ammo came down after, some historic highs. It came down just a little bit fairly recently, but a lot of people were still expecting it to come down lower. They wanted it to come down below what it used to be, or, the best time to buy ammo was yesterday. So that's something to just remember going forward, is like ammo usually goes up. So it's a good idea to buy when you can. Not this second. These prices are a little overinflated, but generally speaking, prices just continue to trend upwards, and so there's never gonna be some magical new free ammo period that you can wait for in the future.
You should this is just financial advice, but you should have a rough budget set aside to buy ammo semi-regularly so you do build up your stocks. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Brassfax, you're never going to use all that ammo in shit hit the fan in a self-defense scenario. No, that's not why I buy ammo. I buy ammo so when events like this happen, I'm insulated and I'm not forced to continue to buy at elevated prices.
Another thing that often happens when these ammo runs, take place is people look at what the cheapest calibers are on the market, and then they think, oh, I should go buy or build that kind of gun so that I can keep shooting. That is not a good idea, because this always happens. 9mm sells out, and then people are like, wow, 40 is actually kind of cheap. Maybe I should go buy a 40 cal Glock so I can keep shooting. No, because next week, the 40 cal is going to be gone too, and you just spent the money on a 40 cal Glock, 40 cal mags, other stuff like that. Plus, it's not really a perfect training analog because it's a different kind of gun. So don't do that. All the guys who were like, I should go buy an AK when 7.62x39 was slightly cheaper than 5.56 for a bit. That it didn't work because AKs cost $1,000 by that point. And what do you know? Then 7.62x39 started drying up and it stopped being cheaper anyway. So
I think the first thing we want to really touch on probably is going to be something like, this is always the case, but we'd want to touch on dry fire, right? It sucks. Dry fire is super mega lame, but we need to make the most out of our training. So a lot of times when people go to the range, you'll notice this especially with a shot timer, but your splits will start really high and they will drop drastically over the course of you practicing a drill. And that's not necessarily a good thing per se. It's good in the sense that you're getting better, but we want to do a lot of dry fire beforehand such that we start much closer to our hypothetical performance ceiling. So for example, a draw, right? So you're coming to the range and you're doing one-shot draws from your concealed carry, cost 1 to 2 shots every single time, right? Well, if we can practice the draw beforehand, we can get much higher quality shooting practice when the time comes, right? Because you're not just dicking up your draw every single time. And that actually saves a surprising amount of ammo. Same thing applies to like a transition drill, right? Where you're doing eyes leading, shoot one, transition, shoot the other. You can't train the recoil management at home, but you can train the actual proper transition protocols, which is generally considered eyes lead, bring the gun to your eyes. And if you can get that down in dry fire training, then when you go out, all you're really working on is putting it into practice and the recoil component, which is what you can't train in dry fire. So you want to try now more so than ever to offload as much of the stuff that you can train with dry fire to get the most out of every single round you shoot in the moment.
Those are good rules to follow even when ammunition isn't as expensive, because it will save you money, and it also will help you build skills a lot in the long run. There are things that you can very easily train at home, like you can do weapon manipulation, draws, reloads, sight picture, even like sling manipulation. Just learning how the way your sling like falls on you with your body armor on or whatever, and you want to extend the sling so that you can more easily maneuver the weapon, tighten the sling to get it back tight to your body. You don't need to be shooting to get a feel for your rifle and your sling, right? Like that's something you can totally do at home. Feeling the gun, handling the gun, that kind of stuff, 100%. Offload that stuff to your home life while you're watching the movie Battle Los Angeles or something.
Careful, you don't want a gun in your hands during Battle Los Angeles.
That's true. It might work its way towards my mouth.
Something to consider on that point. Not everyone's going to agree with me here, but I want to offer a word of caution. A lot of you might see this video, and the first thing you're going to do is drop $400 on a dry fire setup, like a Mantis system or something like that. It's my opinion, typically, only buy something like that if you've proven to yourself that you can, in fact, well, do dry fire training consistently. The perfect analogy here is just, Bowflex 9000. People are like, I need to get fit, so they buy a $5,000 Bowflex 9000 in 27,000 payments of $999 on, 27 APR.
Yeah, you know what an elliptical machine costs? Brand new, it's like $3,000. But you know what an elliptical machine costs on Craigslist? $0, because they just want somebody to take it away from them because it's too expensive to throw it away. The granularity of the metrics you get out of a system like that is very useful to like high-level competition shooters, obviously. But to most people, a lot of us are still just working on just basic weapons familiarity.
So before we head out to a range, I think another important component of making every single shot count is coming up with a game plan. Because our ammo is so limited, all of our ammo should be, at least, oriented with the goal of improving. And in order to improve, you need to track stats and you need to do consistent things over time to see if you are improving and where you need to improve. You should begin to break down each little thing into subcomponents. So if you want to improve your draw shot time, you should figure out what your draw shot time is, film it, and see where your deficiencies may in fact lie, and then go bring that back to dry fire and work on that. So you need to be very meticulous about each subcomponent of the training and actually track it over time.
That's something also that I always have repeatedly recommended to people, is that every shot fired should yield some form of data. So if you're zeroing or shooting groups, that's a type of data. If you're shooting on steel, then the auditory feedback of getting a hit on steel is data. If you're shooting on paper or cardboard, you have to be checking those hits to actually know if you're hitting anything or not. And if you're ideally, if you're doing anything else, it should involve a shot timer so that you have that form of data. You can, of course, mix it all together to the point where, you are shooting like T-Rex Arms style, where you have a shot timer and you have paper targets that you're checking after every drill. That is a lot of work. A lot of people, I don't think, are really willing to set up a bunch of paper and use the timer, and then after every single drill or string of fire or whatever, go check all of the targets. That's why steel is so great, because you can, like the 3 shots in the long range one, if you didn't hear 3 impacts, or you have to shoot until you get 3 impacts, that's really good, immediately actionable data, right?
Yeah. I still love pistol on paper, right? Because you really want to have that feedback of how hard you're pulling the shot. But I think with rifle, generally, steel is a really nice thing. If you can swing it, you have to land for it. So whatever. I think you brought up a really good point. Like, every time you're doing something, it has to bring feedback. Simply the act of shooting for the sake of shooting with no feedback, no accountability, no nothing, will initially, for a very novice shooter, sure, it will build confidence, it will build skill, but very quickly you will find you're going to hit a brick wall, and you might only get incremental increases for just shooting with the sake of shooting. Right?
You also get a lot of people who really pride themselves on the amount of rounds that are through a gun, because it's a good, easy number to point out. Be like, well, I've taken this thing up to 2,600 rounds. And if those rounds did not all produce data, then all you really did was put wear and tear on, a weapon system that you think you need to rely on at a later date. So I would say don't emulate the way that a lot of gun tubers shoot, because a lot of gun tubers are trying to hit round counts for review purposes. They want to see, does this gun hold up to 2,500 rounds?
Yeah, it's one of those things where some skills absolutely require a high round count to achieve, right? If you're really pushing the cutting edge and you want .16 splits in the A zone, that is really hard to train without just nuking an extraordinary amount of ammo. Absolutely, if you have the ammo and money to do so, chase that dragon. But for us, especially now that ammo costs are very high, it's time to really chase difficult drills that are incredibly low count in nature. And that's going to be almost certainly accuracy-based training.
Yeah, another thing that I think is really quite useful is just to stretch out the actual number of shots that you're taking. Like, if you have the luxury of being able to set up run and gun drills like we do, then just limit the number of shots taken from each position or at each target. And I think this is something we've definitely talked about before, although we were not nearly as sober as we are now. But yeah, you get into position, you prove that you can make 2 hits on the target, whether that takes 2 shots or 6 shots, whatever. You've proven that I can make a hit on that target from this position. There's no need to shoot it 10 times. You're just hanging out. Like, you're just chilling in a spot. You're just making easy hits that you already know you can make. So don't shoot 10 times. Shoot it 2 times, then move on. And also, don't load your magazines up to 30 rounds and expect that you're going to expend your entire 240-round combat load over the course of a drill. Download your magazines. Load them to weird numbers. If I have to roast Brock slightly, Brock's, he doesn't count. He's not good at counting. It's like one of his weird disabilities. So, like, he'll often get into a position and just hit the target like 8 times. And after, like, the third hit, I'm like, hey, you got him. You got him. You got him. You can move. You don't have to, you're not proving anything. I already believe you can hit this guy.
This is, what to bring back the do as we say, and not as we do, especially with me, because I push for pretty high round counts. A lot of that is also just like, I need to hit round count quotas, because I'm reviewing an item and I want to put that wear and tear on the weapon or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm doing.
You're trying to brutalize that gun, not just prove that it works. Like, the average person, you put 200 to 400 rounds through your carry gun, you're pretty confident that thing's reliable. But do you trust the reviewer who says, yeah, I shot 200 rounds through this thing, it's fucking battle proven? You're like, no, the reviewer's got to put more rounds on it to prove the point.
Absolutely. When I used to train without the requirement of doing the reviews, and honestly, even how I'm probably going to train coming into the future, I have no guns to review on my Rolodex, so to speak. So my round counts are going to come way down again, because like Hop said, you get to a position, you shoot 1 to 2 shots, you can engage at that position. Now, if you do 1 to 2 shots and it feels unsatisfying, I think you just need to modify your drill to reflect making a much more difficult shot. So that means smaller target sizes. Stop buying human-sized steel targets. Buy A-zone or reduced IPSC-sized targets and push those fuckers out. On that note, I think this is an issue I run into occasionally, and it's the human tendency with a semi-automatic gun to get accuracy through volume, right? And that is an important skill to train, going up to the razor's edge of speed. But every once in a while, and even within drills, if you start noticing yourself shitting the bed, 2 drills in a row or something, mentally slap yourself in the face and you're like, next drill, I don't care about speed, but I'm getting hits. I'm getting 100% hits. I'm slowing down so much that I'm getting the hits that I need. And that's a really important skill to have, to fucking stamp on the brakes of your speed and be like, all right, motherfucker, next drill, all hits. And that is a very difficult skill to cultivate. It requires a lot of discipline, and it requires the actual skill that you can fall back on to just make a 100%, Chuck Pressburg calls it the no-fail shot. Like, I'm going to hit that shot, and I will take all the time in the world to take that shot.
Yeah, if getting your 2 hits from a position takes 20 rounds, then either you've set a absurdly difficult task for yourself, or you might just be going way too fast. And I think if you're really honest with yourself, you'll know which one it is. So yeah, at that point, If you can slow down to get those hits, then good, slow down and get those hits. If there's nothing you can do to get a higher hit percentage, you might have set a really difficult task for yourself that's like such a luck-based shot that maybe you shouldn't be wasting ammo on it.
Stop image training based off of what you see YouTubers, T-Rex Arms, or whatever do. We see these guys burn it the fuck down at really high, impressive split rates, and humans are inherently really good at image training. We see, monkey do. And this is something that happens time and time again. Someone will show up to one of my shoots, and they know how they want to look. And it's to look like T-Rex Arms, it's to look like these people. And they're burning it the fuck down on these drills, and they're not hitting shit. Right? So now that ammo is so expensive and rare, it's time to be honest with yourself and go at the speed that you're capable of going at, and stop trying to emulate, go at a speed that you want to go at. In fact, there's even a case of sometimes your speed in your head might just be you on a better shooting day, and you need to even pull back from that. Sometimes it's a bottom, it's a lower left edge miss kind of day where everything just fucking goes off the lower edge, especially with handguns, and you need to dial it back then as well. Hop, you keep bringing up this thing time and time again about stop brute forcing drills by running it 7,000 times. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, well that's just a pet peeve of mine, because there is absolutely an element of luck or randomness to certain drills, maybe all drills. So if I think we both advocate strongly for certain types of drills. I've always been big into pistol shooting and pistol drills. There's stuff like the test, where you shoot 10 shots in 10 seconds from 10 yards from the low ready on a B8 size target. That's great. That's a great drill. Your objective, of course, is to get 100%. And that doesn't mean you should keep shooting it until you get 100%. You should probably shoot no more than 1 or 2 of those per day. First of all, that's 10 rounds in 10 seconds. That's a pretty fast paced shooting drill. It's not the fastest. There's stuff that really burns ammo, like the Bear Standard, where your objective is to dump 13 rounds in less than 6 seconds, I think.
Yeah, or the T-Rex Arms Scrambler, which is one iteration is over 30 rounds of rifle ammo.
Oh my god, yeah. I remember Lucas caught some real heat when he was like, hey guys, here's what you should do as a warm-up and cool-off for every range session. And it was like a 100-round sequence. It's like, dude, for most people, 200 rounds is the day. Like, damn. I would love to warm up with 100 rounds and cooled off with another 100 rounds, but that's not happening. If your objective is to get a 100% on the test, and you might shoot it 10 times in a row, that's 100 rounds. You've only really done one thing, and it's just a low-ready sequence fire or cadence fire from low ready. The potential training value of that ammo was a lot higher, and also having checked that box of saying I got myself a 100% the test, kind of meaningless, because you also you failed 9 times and succeeded once, so you're still a 90% loser if you think about it. So yeah, don't just like keep shooting until you get your win. If you find yourself a ways off, just shoot it once or twice and then change gears, do something else. Also, the longer you do it, the more you're gonna psych yourself out. You might start just completely losing your fucking cool and racing, going too fast and just throwing shots, and that's just ammo in the fucking berm. So yeah,
the proper way that I believe to do some of these drills is, so let's take the test, 10 shots, 10 seconds, or whatever, 10 yards. Do it 2 to 3 times, maybe even do it 4 times, and then really see where you're coming off the rails. Are you clearing it, but your time is shit? Well, then you need to work on shooting faster. Or are you missing your shots every time, but you're doing it in a good time? Well, then you need to work on your accuracy. You've done your 4 attempts, shit, I need to work on my accuracy, and put away the timer, and just, do some slow fire maybe. Or maybe do a drill that really emphasizes accuracy, and then...
Yeah, a lot of people do find that. And also, something I've pointed out before is that every time you go to the range, you've got one chance to do a cold drill. And that's very interesting. That is a very illuminating thing. To get out to the range, you don't spend a lot of time getting set up. You get one paper on target. Maybe you do a cold to test, or you do something with a cold draw especially. A lot of people will, before they do a drill involving a draw, do a bunch of practice draws and presentations. And guess what? Now that drill's a waste of ammo. You just ruined it. That's not how your draw will ever work in real life. Like, you're in the fucking 7-Eleven buying some taquitos, and some shifty looking guy comes through the door, so what do you start doing? You start doing presentation practice draws on him. Just in case he pulls out a gun? No. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, go for it. I'd love to hear that news story. Maybe like, hey, I recognize that from the podcast we did.
So that's really it. Really, what we got at today was mostly philosophy of training in a low round count setting, or lower round count setting. There is no silver bullet. There aren't even brass bullets. Okay, bad joke. There's no prescribed regime here for you because that's actually something I strongly believe you should figure out yourself. And if there was a training regime, me and Hop are sure as shit not the one to give it to you. The closest thing I can, in fact, prescribe to you is if you have a very limited round count, $200 on Avro every month or less, the majority of your shooting should be shooting handguns. Handgun skills are much more harder to cultivate and much harder to maintain over time. Uniquely in the here and now, pistol ammo is actually pretty cheap relative to rifle ammo, and well, look at that, pistol skills are significantly more relevant and more likely to be used by a day-to-day civilian, even in the worst cases of scenarios. Pistol skills also translate quite well to rifle skills. Once you have everything down in terms of manipulation and manual of arms on a rifle, pulling a trigger is pulling a trigger, and having the ability not to flinch, to follow through on targets, that is a skill that translates across pistol to rifle. So if you had to pick one, as not sexy as it is, pistol it is. To summarize what we talked about here today, offload as much of your training to dry fire. There might be a time to focus on fast splits, going on the razor's edge of performance. Now is probably not that time to train that skill. Stop buying alternate means to improve your skill. The ultimate goal is to save money, so buying expensive training aids, different calibers, so on and so forth, is generally just throwing good money after bad. Make your drills very accuracy and hit oriented. Design drills around low round counts, minimal makeups, and tough shots. It's significantly easier to speed up an accurate slow shooter than to get a 7-yard speed demon to throttle down for a bullseye at 100 yards. Be that accuracy fiend for this period in time where ammo is hard to come by. Show up to every range trip with a plan and an ammo budget, and do not exceed that ammo budget. It's very easy to overtrain in a day and waste a bunch of ammo in frustration, you name it. Remember, round count is meaningless. It's a false metric made up on forums to convey skills on a single number to brag. And too many of those people are simply mag dumping with very little training value conveyed. Stop farming drills and focus on the actual subcomponent of training. Large complex drills are designed to be a test to compare yourself to, but ultimately, actual skill development happens when you laser focus on a single subcomponent and improve that subcomponent and then add it into the picture as a whole. If you are working or struggling to clear a 25-yard B8, stop shooting 25-yard B8s and maybe focus on accuracy for an entire day. Maybe you're focusing on a drill that has a draw component because you keep dicking up your draw. Well, it might be time to focus on working on draws all day. The entirety of training in a low round count environment is shot accountability. Shooting is fun, training is less fun. Don't get carried away, have fun, but consider there are cheaper things to have fun with nowadays than blasting 85 cents per round slugs into the berm. Like drugs. Training is training, and you should realize that at this point it should probably convey a level of seriousness and honestly some tedium. This has been a Brock and Hop Power Half Hour, something we typically only put on the Subscribe Star for our most serious of fans. If you're interested in more stuff like this, well, perhaps reduce your expectations because most of them are probably not serious as this. Some of them are, but a lot of them are us talking for 35 minutes on the Abyss movie and how James Cameron is probably a little too serious when it comes to making movies. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you boys in the next one.
You fucking cocksucker.